Okay, this is going to be the fourth vid for my 1 million words inspired writing meme video series. So I'm coming into the end, oh dear. And I apologize in advance for any background noise. It's a nice day outside and I've got windows open, so you might be hearing traffic noises and birds singing and rummaging around in the yard. So if the background seems a little noisier than usual, it's because it is. Also, I'd like to apologize for the last video, which ended a bit abruptly. I wound up editing it because I went off on a bit of a rant on one of the questions, and I'm not proud of it, so I cut that part out. Yeah. I'm an opinionated person, as those of you who know me well know, and I can get a little heated at times. Probably not as bad as some people, but I'm not as tranquil about it as others, so yeah. I slipped up there and decided, okay, you know, you didn't have to see it, so technically it doesn't exist anymore because I discarded that several minutes of footage, which I decided, okay, this is not me in my best form. We should cure me of doing opinion videos or whatnot, like that of that nature when I'm not feeling quite up to quite up to snuff. But anyway, disclaimers and whatnot aside, let's get back to the last 5 questions. Number 35. Would you ever kill off a canon character? Yeah, this was the one I tripped up on. I am really careful about character death because it can be an extremely divisive element in the fandom. Uh, Although I do go with I do go with Neil Gaiman's dictum that if you carry on any story, if you carry it out long enough, it's going to end in death because if you're a human, you die. It's a fact of life. I mean, I suppose you could write about immortal characters, or you could alternate universe things dealing with a certain character that their story came to an end in a final way. We'll say somebody alternate universes that they become immortal somehow, but I have my own thoughts on immortality, and if you let me put it this way, if you've ever read if you read enough vampire fiction, there's usually the smarter writers will build in something where the vampires used to be human got turned into vampire variety of creature. They eventually come to a point where was trading mortality for immortality such a bright idea? All the humans are dying around me. Or the Macropolis case by gosh, can't think of his name off the top of my head. Czechoslovakian science fiction writer Karel Čapek. That's right. Which basically revolves around this woman whose father was an alchemist in like the 1400s or something like that. Dosed her with the elixir of life, and now she's living and not dying and not aging, and she envies the people around her that are, ultimately have an expiration date, and that gives their life more meaning and whatnot. So, oh, that got more philosophical than it should have. Okay, that's the short answer is no, I probably would not, or if I did, I'd disclaimer it up, like mad and say, please don't get mad at me, that sort of thing. Because let's just say I have seen some not exactly comfortable very discomforting reactions from fandoms when there were canonic character deaths. I mean, this is one of the things that's keeping me from getting my stuff published professionally. I don't want people to be mad at my stuff. I don't want people to be. I want people to be entertained by my stuff, and I suppose it's good to get an emotional reaction out of them. But some people just take it to such extremes that it's like, back away from the fandom, So, short answer is no. I'm going to be very careful about it because I don't want people to get I don't want people to get overly upset by my stuff, because that wasn't my intention, you know? So, anyway, moving on. Okay, moving on. Number 36. Which is your favorite site to post fic? Right now it's Archive of Our Own, but there's a little problem right now in that there's been a bot for this rather strange ebook site that ultimately is a bit of a scam. They're skimming people's stories off of the site, off Archive of Our Own, and one of mine got scooped up right now, so kind of not posting things on Archive of Our Own right now. So, but so I'm kind of gone back to my default, which is I post things on my fanfic journal, which is mtxref-fic at livejournal.com or mtxref-fic at dreamwidth.org. So I think that's, excuse me, that's where I'm going to be putting my stuff right now. I mean, I like Archive of Our Own. I like the format. I like, I like the tagging system. I like how searchable it is. I like the posting form. I like how you can import fics from other site onto it. All in all, I just like it as a bit of technology and a bit of space to share my stories. It's just right now it's a little bit of a problem because outside sources being an idiot. So. Okay, number 37. Talk about your current works in progress. Off the top of right now, I have. Let me take a look. Right now, I'm working on a really short piece for Comet Fic, which is. It's a fic inspired by Charles Strauss's The Laundry Files, which is, I guess you can best describe it as Len Deighton meets H.P. Lovecraft. Because it's dealing with a guy who's sort of a technological warlock who's, working for a very covert branch of British intelligence, and his job is mostly keeping back, fending off eldritch abominations that try to crack through and the disturbing elements that may be trying to invite them through. It's awesome. I just found it out recently. I read the first one. I'm reading the second one. The first one, The Atrocity Archives, which is awesome and darkly funny in places. Although there's some parts that are just like, little interesting bits of what was really going on during World War II and the Cold War. There was an arms race going on that had nothing to do with nuclear armaments. And more to do with dangerous grimoires and things. So, I like that universe because, I mean, I like spy stories, but most of the spy fiction that you see, it just strikes me as being really unrealistic. I mean, especially the things that are the James Bond model, because it's like, okay, yeah, that's interesting and exciting, but why do I get the feeling that the reality is a lot less glamorous? So, it's nice to see a less glamorous version of the spy story. Plus, there are places where it's just plain freakishly funny. The short story, The Concrete Jungle, which involved concrete cows where they don't belong. I know, concrete cows! What could go wrong with this? Gets interesting. I'm not going to say more, but the one I'm working on right now is just basically, it's, office space annoyances. It's that one guy that's always breaking his computer and coming to bother whoever the tech expert and saying, can you help me unlock my email or whatever goofiness it is. Your printer won't work. Although it turns out to be something a little more than just a paper jam, because that's how this universe works. Obviously it's being written for a prompt. I won't say which one it is. Not because I'm worried people will poach my prompts, but just the nature of the beast, plus I'm trying to remember how exactly it was worded. There's that one, plus I'm also doing the final edits on... I mentioned this in an earlier entry. It was a rewrite of H.P. Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror, I should say the Dunwich Horror. I gotta keep pronouncing it Dunwich. I should know better. I come from New England. Place names are not necessarily pronounced the way they're spelled. Phonetic spelling, what's that? Anyway. Dunwich Horror at a grocery store. I'm doing the final edits on that, and unfortunately that means one of my favorite scenes is going to wind up on the cutting floor, plus I have to rearrange one scene entirely. And the other is, I'm writing it with the intent to try to get it published in... It was a funny anthology, a funny themed, or I think it's a funny themed, Lovecraft-inspired anthology. Their tagline for it is putting the love back in Lovecraft, because it's all Lovecraft-inspired romance stories. Well, maybe not necessarily of the Harlequin romance variety, but just looking at, you know, relationships and how that might work out in a universe where eldritch abominations are a very strong possibility. So I'm doing one that's essentially, it's another rewrite of Dunwich Horror. I guess I'm gonna wind up being the Dunwich Horror person in the Lovecraft fandom. Nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of people that are hung up over Shadows of Innsmouth. I might like that one, but okay. People are doing fics based off of that. I'm gonna find something else that hasn't had fic based off of it, so. Yeah. So the thing I'm working on right now, I'm kind of doing the Pete Rawlik thing, and I'm sort of mischievously doing some canon welding, and I'm kind of combining the novel version of Dunwich Horror with the 1970 movie version, which is... It's totally cheesy, it's totally a B movie, it's hilariously bad. I mean, come on, Dean Stockwell is not Wilbur Whateley. He does not look anything like Wilbur Whateley that's described in the book. He's way too good looking. I mean, does Dean Stockwell honestly look like he has a goatish face to you? So, I'm kind of combining elements of the movie with elements of the novel, which is what Pete Rawlik did with Herbert West Reanimator, where he combined elements of the novel with elements of the 1982 movie version, aka the one with Jeffrey Combs. Yep. Him. So... I wouldn't say I'm just doing this just for the lulz, but it's like, I have a soft spot for the 1970 Dunwich Horror movie. It's just... It's so goofy and hippy-dippy, it's just... It's hard to hate it, you know? It's just... I mean, it's perfect fodder for, you know, MST3K style riffing, so... But still, there's just something endearing about it, you know? I mean, it's just trying so hard to be, you know, a Lovecraft-inspired movie, and it just winds up, you know... I'm not gonna be mean and say it's Lovecraft in name only, but... I mean, it's got some of the parameters of the plot, but... Also, why does Arkham and why does Dunwich look so much like parts of California? You know? Yes, I know it was obviously filmed in California, but still, it's like, what? You know? Anyway, yeah. So I'm working on that, and it's one of those. It's like I'm trying to make it into a serious story, and I'm giving it a rather serious business ending. You know, it's one of those kind of endings. I mean, come on, if you're doing Lovecraft, you gotta have an kind of ending, because he ends so many stories of his that way, where you're just kind of, it got worse, you know? Because the king of it got worse. So that's kind of what's occupying my thoughts right now, and things I should be getting back to instead of sitting here making silly videos about it. But that does help to talk about it. It does help me to organize my thoughts. Number 38. Talk about a review that made your day. This wasn't so much a review as was, well, actually two. I can think of two off the top of my head. One was it was a review combination request from, it was a person in Russia that was complimenting my fic and then asked me in the same posting, would I be fine with them translating it into Russian? And I was like, really? You like my stuff that much? You know? So that made me feel really good, and I was like, sure, go right ahead, translate any of my stuff that just, you're welcome to it. I mean, I have no problem with people translating my stuff as long as they ask nicely first, unlike, that website just now that stole one of my stories and is distributing it without my permission. Hello, I put it on Archive of Our Own for a reason. And the other is one I just got, which was a review for, it was a bit of literary real person fic that I wrote recently for a Fic Promptly Lonely Prompts Challenge. And it was a fic that I'd kind of mulled over for a while, and it was one of those, should I post this? Should I not? Will people like it? It was, I kind of have this sort of on-again, off-again series of little vignettes inspired by the life of H.P. Lovecraft, although I put a serious amount of magical realism, I guess you could call it. I don't exactly call it defictionalizing some of the fiction that he wrote, but just, although this is a fairly common thing for people in the Lovecraft fandom to do, to sort of play around with, well, maybe the things he was writing about really existed, and that's why he was writing about them. So, this one was just a little bit where our boy at age 17 stumbles across a mysterious bookstore that has a copy of the original play, The King in Yellow, which is what The King in Yellow stories are mostly about. And it winds up being one thing after another. Getting a hold of this book causes some minor domestic catastrophes for our boy. And I got a really kind review about it. I should do the right thing and reply back to the person, thanking them for the kind words. And this person just gushed about my story. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. This is great. The voices are really good. I could really see this happening. Wow. And it just made me feel good, because I was a little bit approached posting the story with a little bit of trepidation, as I often do with elements that might be a little controversial. So anyway, so that made me feel good. It made me feel good about posting it. Number 39. Do you ever get rude reviews, and how do you deal with them? It's actually been a while since I got a genuinely rude review. I mean, I've gotten things that were, unintentional rudeness, like, the fic is ended, I put the end at the end, and you get the vague, write more, please. I never know if that means write more stories or write more with this story. Because, especially if I've put, I've marked the story as complete, if it's on Archive of Our Own or fanfic.net, I've put the end at the end. But then you get, the write more please thing, and it's just, what part of the end do you not understand? Those I just ignore. These people are not worth arguing with. It's like, if that's what they mean, if by write more please they mean, please keep writing fics. Your fic style is awesome. We love it. Just wait a little while, I'll write more. I have gotten some that were just plain, what sort of reviews? Like, the person that called me, and I quote, albeit mildly censored, to quote the review in its entirety, "Stop writing, you effing commie." A commie? How am I a communist? I mean, I suppose some of my political views might be construed as borderline communist or socialist, because I actually, I believe that, workers should have some say in how their companies are run. Case in point, the protesting that I did this past summer. In other regards, it's like, excuse me? And calling me a commie? How old are you? Didn't the Cold War end in, like, 1989 or something? It's like, you know, how old is this person that's sending me this comment? You know, it's like, what? That was the most bizarre. Then you get the occasional people that will tell you how to write your story. Like, um, I was writing a story with some horror elements, and I went for the pithy, punchy sentences, and this guy was telling me that I needed to add more adjectives, and I was like, really? You know, I suppose I could have added more adjectives, or not so much more adjectives, but maybe a couple more words that would have been a little more evocative of the setting. But it was kind of an action scene, and when you're writing action, sometimes, especially if it's stuff that's happening quickly, you have to make the sentences kind of quick, quick and punchy. Or at least that's how I feel if you're writing action. You know. Um, what other rude reviews? Oh yeah. The advertising reviews. Case in point, there was one time I wrote or maybe it wasn't. Maybe advertising isn't so much. Okay, I remember what it was. It was kind of an ad for the person's pairing community, and they'd framed it at, they started off, nice story, would you consider, revising it and posting it for X community for X/Y relationship fix? And X/Y were not even involved in the story, and I was like, what? If I want to write about X/Y, I'm gonna write about X/Y. For this story, I was writing A/B. Because A/B is a pairing to, whether as a friendship or more than friendship, it doesn't get a lot of love, and I just wanted that pair to get a little love from the fandom for a change. It's like, what? So, I suppose now that I've said I haven't had any rude reviews in a while, I'm probably gonna get a few, and I can rant about those. Those could be fun to rant about. Get them off your chest, so to speak. Number 40. Write an alternative ending to insert fic title or just the summary of one. Honestly, I can't think of any stories that I would want to change the ending of. I did do the Dunwich grocery horror story that I just wrote. I did kind of change the ending of that, in that I was going for a revisionist approach to the storyline, and we'll just say that I also was doing some alternative character interpretation, in that Wilbur Whately wasn't necessarily trying to bring about the Elder Gods apocalypse. He just wanted to go to heck home and be with his father's people, if you can define them as people. They're not people the way we think of people. They're whatever they are. So, I wound up changing the ending to that rather dramatically. So, okay, yeah, I changed the end of something that's in the public domain, but I may not necessarily change the ending of another person's fanfiction, because that can get into some slightly touchy territory, and I feel funny asking people, would you mind if I rewrote the ending of your thing? Because I'd be a little leery of people trying to rewrite endings to some of my stuff, because once in a while I will. I would say I go for tragic endings, but it's like I go for endings that may not necessarily be popular with the fans, and I may warn for stuff. I mean, I don't mind. If you're remixing your own story, that's one thing, but I feel a little funny about other people remixing other people's stuff, because, I worry that people are going to put elements in there that the original writer might not be particularly comfortable with, like character bashing, because I see that happening in a couple fandoms. Maddeningly enough, it happens a lot of times to female characters, and that really, really boils my onions. So, it's like, okay, if you want to remix it, fine. Just let me know what you have in mind, because I'm not sure that I want to go there. because well, I probably, in saying stuff like this, I probably make myself sound like a very paranoid writer, but I am a bit paranoid because, you know, I've seen some bad fan behavior, and I'd hate to be on the receiving end of it, and, you know, because it's kind of take a, I mean, bad behavior has always been there, but I hate to sound like a crotchety older person, but it seems like in more recent years, it's like fandom is getting more snarly, and it's like it doesn't seem fun anymore. It's like, you know, I mean, I found a few people that it's fun to hang out with and chat with and whatnot, but there's also a lot of people that you know, seem to specialize in yelling and screaming about stuff, and it's like, this isn't fun. I didn't sign up for this. Please get me away from it. So, okay, so that does it for the 40 questions. There's the other two that had to do with, um, your favorite piece of prose and your favorite piece of dialogue, and I might put those in a separate video once I figure out where they are, which pieces I want to read, and, you know, put them together and read them together in the same vid. See what happens. Hope you liked my my series of vids here, and I hope you when I get the moment to record those last two, I hope you enjoy that one.